So nordicMEDiVA is a platform for automatic analysis of DICOM data, for example, perfusion data. So if the data is sent from the MR scanner or a PACS system to nordicMEDiVA, it will be automatically processed based on the settings specified by the user and then sent to PACS. However, sometimes it might be relevant to reprocess the data that you have just analyzed, for example, when you're testing different settings, setting up the system, or sometimes if you have difficult cases. So I will now show you how you can very easily connect to the nordicMEDiVA platform and reanalyze using different settings. And we will also take a closer look at some of the output maps that we get from the nordicMEDiVA perfusion analysis. Of course, we get the standard perfusion output maps, but we also include some quality control output that I will show you. So remember that the nordicMEDiVA dashboard is a web-based system, so you can easily access the dashboard from any computer. So this is the nordicMEDiVA dashboard, and we see that we have 3 different routes that are active and that can analyze incoming data. And this is the queue page, and if we go into the queue page, we see that there is one case, one perfusion dataset that has previously been analyzed by the system. And I will now use nordicEYE to mimic a PACS system and show you how data can be transferred from a DICOM node into the nordicMEDiVA system, and then results are being transferred back. So this is nordicEYE, and I will select one patient, and then I will select the perfusion series and send this perfusion series for analysis in the nordicMEDiVA platform. So nordicMEDiVA is specified as a remote DICOM entity in nordicEYE, so I can send data from nordicEYE over the network to nordicMEDiVA. So I will then send it. So once the data has been received, nordicMEDiVA will immediately start the perfusion analysis. We can go into the details and have a look at the ongoing processing. Normally, of course, it is not necessary to go into the nordicMEDiVA dashboard and monitor the progress here, but I just wanted to do it right now to show you how the setup works. So now the data is finished. So we see here now that we have 2 different patients that have been analyzed using different routes, and they have also different series description, which is how I have separated the different routes that will be activated when the data comes in. So we can go back into nordicEYE, and we see now that we have received several new output maps that I specified in the route that was analyzed with nordicMEDiVA. So we see here now that we have a lot of new output maps, and I can take a look at some of them. For example, we see that we have the CPV. So this is the standard output map used for, in this case, tumor relation. But we also have some other output maps that are the graphs from the quality control. So for example, here we have the signal average curve, and we have the R2 curve that also has the bolus arrival time and bolus end time. So we can actually check that the system detected that correctly. So we can also have a look at the AIF that was used in the analysis. In this pipeline that was used, I set it up to do automatic global search for AIF. So these are some of the quality control outputs that we include in the system. So now if I wanted to reanalyze the set, in this case using slightly different settings, that is actually quite easy to do. So I can go into the nordicMEDiVA dashboard again, and we see now here that we have the list of the previous analyzed cases. So I can now go into the root page, and I can either edit the existing one, create a complete new one, or I can add as a copy. So let's say I'm creating now a copy of the one that I used before. And then I can say, okay, let's change the analysis. Let's also include some additional time curve property maps. So let's include the time to peak map. And then I can go into the queue and I say it's the NNL1 that I want to reanalyze. And if I just go into the details page and then select the new route that I created, DSC test, and process that, it will actually automatically reprocess. And now I'm going into the new analysis that is now being done using the new route that I created. And we see now that we have 2 entries of NNL1 because it has now been analyzed 2 times using the 2 different routes that I specified. And if we now go back to nordicICE, here we see that we have now received additional data sets. So we see here that we have twice as many as before. And in addition, we have the time to peak map. So now we see that we have the same, but we also have the time to peak map included. So that is how you can very easily reanalyze using different settings. Okay, so now I've illustrated how you can very easily reanalyze using different settings. And remember that the nordicMEDiVA dashboard runs in the web browser. It's a web-based system, so you can access that from any computer.